And welcome to Fundamentals of Teaching. I am so happy to have you this semester. My name is Gillian Campbell, and I am looking forward on this journey together. Let me say again, a hearty welcome to one and all. Here is the course rationale for Fundamentals of Teaching. Teaching as a practice is driven by theories from various disciplines such as philosophy, psychology, and sociology. Secondly, it should be an integrated approach, one that depicts the whole rather than a fragmented approach. Third, in a technological, information-driven era, there is a need to revolutionize some of the traditions of teaching so that the practices relating to teaching and learning will become more contextually relevant. Fundamentals of Teaching is specifically designed for first-year students. Yes, you, our valued student teachers. It is designed to provide you with the prerequisite skills that are necessary to become the effective practitioner in the field of education. It focuses on 4 major units. These units are grounded in the concepts of teaching and learning, creating aesthetic classroom atmospheres, planning effective learning outcomes, and a micro-teaching in various learning climates. It emphasizes on appreciating the role of curriculum that will be an important aspect of this course. Let's look at the course learning outcomes. At the end of the course, student teachers should be able to 1. Assess the relevance of the course to their development as prospective educators. 2. Widen your understanding of the concepts of teaching and learning. 3. Apply selected theories to instructional practices and explain your implications for teaching and learning. 4. Effectively plan, effectively implement, and effectively evaluate lessons collaboratively for different classroom climates. And finally, number 5, display the intellectual qualities or dispositions and skills for teaching as a professional in a contemporary or a global context. That's 4 units. So let us carefully look at the 4 units. Unit 1, exploring the concepts of teaching and learning. Unit 2, teaching and learning, the theories and related principles for practice. Unit 3, introduction to instructional approaches and models of teaching. Unit 4, effective planning, implementation, and assessment. Now, listen carefully. These are the learning outcomes for Unit 1, exploring the concepts of teaching and learning. So at the end of this unit, student teachers will, 1, develop a point of view about the relevance of the course to your development as teachers. Number 2, identify developmental needs and translate these into a learning contract considering the course's learning outcomes. Number 3, explain terms associated with teaching and learning and other related concepts. Number 4, analyze fundamental areas of teaching profession that they have experienced or that you have experienced which have influenced your concept of teaching. Number 5, examine the role of the curriculum in teaching and instruction. And number 6, critically examine the central task or the central goals of teaching, and you are expected to demonstrate comprehensive understanding of these. This is a summary of content that is expected to be covered in Unit 1. So first, we're going to examine key terminologies such as education, schooling, curriculum, and curriculum integration, among others. Then we're going to move on to the relationship between teaching and learning, and we're going to examine their implications. Then the characteristics of effective teaching, effective teacher. We're going to look at what is the role of the curriculum. And of course, we must cover elements or components of teaching and learning. For example, we're going to examine the why, the how, the when, the who, and the where. Then we're going to move on to the central task or major goals of teaching. Here, we're going to look at knowing your students, creating a safe learning environment, listening to and understanding students' thinking, understanding their experiences, getting students to learn worthwhile things, and affirming our students' sense of self. I am sure that you are quite as excited as I am. Unit 1 is extremely interesting. Can you imagine what Unit 2 comprises of? Let us see what it is. So Unit 2, Teaching and Learning, Theories and Related Principles for Practice. Here are the learning outcomes. At the end of this unit, student teachers will 1. Discuss the implication of theory to practice. 2. Show greater appreciation for the various learning theories and how they impact teaching and learning in the 21st century and beyond. Number 3. Demonstrate how to improve practice by applying major theoretical principles to various dimensions of teaching. Number 4. Commit to refining personal teaching philosophies as reflective practitioners. We've covered Unit 1. I am sure that you're ready for Unit 2. So here's a content summary for Unit 2. We're going to review the major learning theories. So it means that we're going to examine their basic assumptions and their implications for teaching and learning as relating to planning, designing instructions, and of course, emphasis should be placed or it will be placed on instructional elements such as objectives, content selection, and content organization. In addition, we'll also examine how we select learning activities, the selection and organization of instructional models. Then we're going to move on to designing and managing our classroom environments. When we talk about managing classroom environments in relation to the physical, the psychosocial, spiritual, and virtual environment, among others. We're also going to look on classroom assessment. We're going to do a wide overview of this. Then we're going to move on to the roles and responsibilities of both learners as well as the facilitators. And now we're actually at Unit 3. What is the title of Unit 3? Introduction to Instructional Approaches or Models of Teaching. So at the end of this unit, this is what you should be able to do. Yes, you, my student teachers. Number 1, differentiate between the terms models, methods, approaches, techniques, and strategies. Yes, they're not the same. I told you they are all different. Yes. Number 2, associate theories and or theoretical principles that have been integrated with various models of teaching. Number 3, justify the value of recognized models of teaching. And 4, demonstrate in authentic context the various teaching tasks that are associated with selected models of teaching. This is a summary of content relating to Unit 3. So we are going to examine key terminologies and the relationship amongst them. For example, teaching models, methods, approaches, techniques, and strategies. Then we're going to look at teaching models such as the student-centered versus the teacher-centered approaches. So the teacher-centered model now, we're going to examine concept and inquiry-based, presenting, explaining, lecturing. Then we're going to move on to student-centered model. Now we are going to have vibrant discussions on classroom discussion, cooperative learning, problem-based learning, and there are other that we will examine. We're also going to examine the rationale for selecting models in designing instruction. We're going to examine the characteristics and theoretical framework of teaching models and their implications for teaching practices, such as instructional goals, syntax, and theoretical assumptions. We're also going to look at factors for considering when we're selecting and using various models or instructional approaches. Now, these factors, they include the learner characteristics. So here, learner profile is extremely important. We're going to look at curriculum requirements. What resources are available? For example, time, material, funding, administrative, collegial support. We're going to examine the institutional culture. Then we're going to look at teacher characteristics such as orientation, teaching philosophy, instructional competence, for example, planning, managing, and assessing lessons and learning events. Welcome to Unit 4, Effective Planning, Implementation, and Assessment. Here are our unit learner outcomes. At the end of this unit, participants, you student teachers, you will 1. Prepare suitable lesson and unit plans for implementation in different teaching and learning environments. 2. Explore the concepts of differentiated instructions. 3. Plan and implement lessons to reflect students' varied learning needs. 4. Justify the inclusion of the major elements in the planning and implementation of lessons. 5. Engage in self and peer critique of instructional assessment and environmental plans to determine relevance and effectiveness. 6. Prepare environment and assessment plan to support lesson plans. And number 7. Engage in self and peer critique. These contents will be covered in Unit 4. We're going to look at key terminology such as lesson plan, unit plan, attainment target, and of course, all the elements that has to do with lesson planning. And so we must consider factors when planning lessons. We're going to explore differentiated instructions. So in doing so, we're going to identify, how can we meet students with diverse needs? In addition to that, we must consider important elements when we're planning our lessons, as I've stated previously. And so here's where the NSC, or the National Standards Curriculum, come into play. So we are going to explore the 5E model, and we're going to look at STEM and STEAM. In addition to that, we are going to examine the role of research and reflection in the planning process. Thank you very much for watching. Please like the video.